and he like wanted me to pick fights with people. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking fighting anybody.
Oh, because that's the way he would deal with his emotions.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Sadness, fight. Anger, fight.
Looking for excitement, fight. And then it's also, there's a thing about young guys where young guys always want to be the crazy one. Like, oh, Mike's the fucking craziest. Right. Mike's fucking crazy. Mike doesn't give a fuck. And it becomes like a social status among young, especially, we were talking about this before the podcast. Everybody our age was like a latchkey kid. Everybody our age had a mom and a dad that worked, and they opened the fucking door in the morning, and you were off to the races.
Yeah.
You went to school. After school, they weren't home for hours, right? Yeah. You did a bunch of shit by yourself. And most of the time, we're around other fucking savages our age. So it's the abstract influence of the parents on the children that is really like giving you your experience for who you are as a young person.
Yeah.
You're experiencing how these people taught their kids and what the result was, because you're around the kids all the time. You're not around your parents.
No, they say that you're raised by your peers. After about the age of 12, you're basically, your parents are out.
Yeah.
You're raised by your peers.
Yeah, you're constantly with your friends in school. You're constantly with your friends in any activities you have.
You're looking for their validation instead of your parents' validation.
Exactly. And with my friends, it was always, who's the sickest fuck? Yeah. Oh, Mike's a sick fuck. You know, oh, Steve's the sickest fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. He's crazy. And there was like a value in that because everybody was scared. That was really at the bottom line of it. We're all young men, and we're on our way to becoming adults, and no one knows what the fuck they're going to do. And we have a few friends that have graduated high school, and they're losers now, and like, shit, that might be me. Like, that was the big cloud that was always hanging over everybody's head. What are you doing after high school? What are you doing after high school? And it was like this impending date of doom that was coming up. So everybody was scared all the time. Yeah. And everybody wanted to be a man. They wanted to prove themselves. They wanted to be something special, and no one felt special. You know, everybody felt like a fucking loser. You know, we're all like waiting to become an adult so you could get a job like all these other people you knew that were around you, or escape, or figure out a way to escape.
Yeah, and then there's always the community college. Like, people go, well, you know, I'll probably end up, when you hear I'll probably end up at the community college, that's going to be one semester and out.
I did that. I went to Mass Bay Community College. I did it after a whole year. I took a whole year off. And I only went back to school because I didn't want people thinking I was a loser. So I did like maybe one semester at Mass Bay. I don't even think I finished the semester. And then I left and went to UMass. UMass Boston had this like adult education program where you didn't have to have a GED or a not GED, SAT, because I never took my SATs. So when I graduated from high school, I'm like, I am never going to school again. Like, fuck this. But I got so tired of feeling like a fucking loser. Like, when I tell people I would always say I was taking a year off. Yeah, but I just had no direction. All I was doing was like doing martial arts and competing. And I just was so terrified of what the fuck the future laid. And so I went to UMass for like 3 years, but not like 3 full years. It was like there was still a lot of credits to be acquired if I was going to graduate. And I just was wasting my time. I was barely paying attention. I was completely half-assing whatever project we had. And then I was realizing, like, why am I wasting my time? Yeah. And then I got some letter saying that I couldn't come back with the grades that I had unless I came up with some very compelling reason. So they wanted me to make an argument for why they should include me back in the class. And I wrote out in handwritten, because back then no one had a fucking typewriter, this total bullshit letter. This ridiculous, like, persuasive, bullshitty letter about how important education is to me and how important it means. And then I realized, like, the amount of effort that I put writing this bullshit letter to keep these people from kicking me out of their school, which I wasn't paying attention to, far exceeds any effort that I ever put on any project ever in class. Yeah. And then I realized, okay, whatever I'm going to do with my life, it's not going to involve doing this. Yeah. It's not going to involve someone else dictating my schedule. Yeah. Like, for whatever reason.
And you're like, clearly I can write. Yeah. Clearly I can bullshit. I can think. Maybe comedy.
Yeah. Well, I had a conversation with a science teacher. This science teacher, and it was the same kind of thing. I mocked him in class. Not necessarily mocked him, but I brought up something that was contrary to what he was teaching. He was talking about Lake Erie being a dead lake. And I said, listen, man, they had a documentary on PBS last night about Lake Erie making a resurgence. And these scientists have figured out these new ways to minimize water pollution and all this shit. And like, other kids were looking at me like, what the fuck? And he got pissed at me. he got really pissed at me, and he said, "You're undermining my class and this and that." I go, "Hey man, you're teaching old shit.
Yeah.
Are you teaching old? This is on TV, man. This is on TV like yesterday."
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with him afterwards, and because I had to talk to him in order to get back in the class. He kicked me out of the class, and he said two things. He said, one, he said, first of all, I don't know whether or not that was the case, whether or not it's true, and if I allow you to just interrupt my class and chime in something like that, and it's not true, I haven't fact-checked it, you're telling the whole class, and I don't know if you're right or you're wrong or you're making things up, but you're interrupting my class. That's the point. If you have something to tell me about it, maybe you could tell me about it after the class, and then I can go and look it up, and then maybe I can correct the class. He goes, but two, in interrupting the class, you showed yourself to be more articulate and more intelligent than you ever showed ever in the entire semester. So you're totally half-assing everything you do. Like your writing, everything, paper you turn in, every test you do, every time I call upon you for a question, totally half-assed that. But when you wanted to correct me on something, all of a sudden you knew all the words, you knew how to form the sentence correctly, you knew how to say it with the right impact. He's like, your focus is off. I was like, God damn, that dude's on the money. And I realized, I'm like, yeah, so I'm not stupid. All right, I can't listen.
I can't do it their way. I got to do it my way, right?
But I could. I just didn't. I grew up not having any direction.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't tell you what to do all your life, like essentially you just out free. I would go fishing. I'd hang out with my friends in the fucking woods. We just go find shit to do. And then all of a sudden you're in school and they're telling you everything you have to do all day. Like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not
only
equipped for
that,
it.
like, you're sitting in, I'm